Cairo Mafia, thank you very much. There's my buddy, Cairo Passion. We have Cairo Passion and Mindset Master here going to work. But look at Florida, man. No hurricane where you are.
No, not at all. No, we got a good spot to put the camera on the microphone. Hopefully, we're not going to have any issues at all here. So,
Yeah, there
something changes, I'll let you know.
might be a few clouds developing in the horizon. I'll
It
let you
might
know
be.
because you got your back to it a little bit.
Yeah,
Those palm trees start bending a little bit, then we'll
yeah.
let you know. And
They're
actually,
bending. I'm looking at them out the window right now. There's a little activity going on right now.
yeah,
That's for
there is.
sure.
And not to make light of what's going on, because
Yeah,
we're
for
sending
sure.
prayers to Florida and
For sure.
North Carolina for the victims of the last hurricane.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, we're sitting there talking, having, well, what do you want to talk about? And then we get into an extended conversation. Next thing you know, we're laughing. There was some good shit on there, man. So
Always. Always. Yeah.
what we decided to talk about is, hey, what's the number one thing people call, what's one thing I can do to build your practice? And, what's the mindset of the profession? Marketing. And this is why we have Cairo Mafia, because people think, well, if I want to grow, I need a lot more new patients. And, hey, if you're getting 5 a month, you're right. You probably need a lot unless you have a 300 PVA or a 400 PVA. But the reality is, if you keep the ones you got into lifestyle, and then here's the thing. So what's the number one thing? Purpose. So I was on I talk to chiropractors, and what's their primary purpose? They build a business because they want to give their family a certain life. That's awesome. You need to give your family a great life because you're doing something freaking amazing and life-changing, chiropractic. And I found when my purpose wasn't just to solve health problems, but was to solve health patterns through generations. And then they understood the principle of spinal cord being the lifeline, and all those health generational patterns that their relatives are taking drugs for, passing on the belief system, oh, it's our genetics.
Right.
That's the problem. Right now, when you solve that, and then they go not to just their immediate family, but to their family tree. Hey, guess what I learned? Our family's got a problem with hypertension. Did you know this? Did you know this? Come to this workshop with me. I've gotten off my drugs in 45 days. I've been on them for 20 years. I don't need them anymore. My MD took me off them. Dad, come with me. Exactly. So then that's marketing. Marketing is changing beliefs. Advertising is something different. Those are the ads. Those are the videos. Now, if you can change beliefs on a video, all the power to you. But what you're really doing is introducing a concept they didn't know. And if it's intriguing enough and your language patterns and everything are captivating, they're just prompted by something they heard. But then your marketing is how you process people.
Exactly.
That's your marketing.
Exactly. I think a lot of times, and when we use the chiropractic concept, we preach and we believe that it's an inside out mentality, right? So the body heals from within. And yet the mistake we make is we often run our practice allopathically, where we look outside ourselves to grow the practice, when we forget that, making yourself better, making yourself more valuable, improving your confidence, your clarity. There's a training when it comes to communication. So you could be the greatest adjuster, but if you're not a good communicator, you're not going to have a lot of people that come through the door, right? You could be the greatest adjuster, but if you're not, prone to the idea or training on the idea of sharing and shifting beliefs and values, or triggering, or I like to call revealing. If you're not revealing that in people, then same idea. You're gonna struggle in practice. So the best place to put your time, your money, Ben Franklin said, the best investment you can make is in yourself. Jim Rohn was my coach. He always talked about, how do you make yourself a man, a woman of greater value? And really that's where coaching comes from. That's what you and I really train our docs on, is making themselves better. Because when you make yourselves better, like Fred talks about, your mission, your purpose, your why might be dead on. But if you're not able to communicate it, if you're not able to articulate it, if you're not able to get into a conversation with somebody that is in alignment with those beliefs and values right from the start, or they're unaware that they're in that alignment, and you're not able to have a conversation with them to realign them, you're really going to struggle. You're going to struggle a lot in practice. So like Fred's making that distinction, you've got, the advertising and the promoting part, but when it comes to marketing, it is shifting their beliefs. It is using premises, using rhetorical questioning, using contrasting questions, using consequential questions, evaluating your tone, having a strategy in the conversation. Fred is such a master at that, and he's laid out so many strategies on how to master that. So you're taking them through a series of questions and processes. He's got that 7-step to where, hey, that person now comes into alignment with that, and therefore in alignment, they don't really have another option, because their deductive and inductive reasoning is in perfect alignment with, hey, my belief is, yeah, I want to be healthy. I want lifetime healthy. I want this, obviously want this for my family.
Well, there's a couple of things you're going on. First of all, for you to say, I'm a master, you're the master, it's like, you're always all about questions. Thanks to your dad, right? Let me ask you a question, Joey. Right. Right. So first of all, slide we have in the boot camps is from Elon Musk, and it says people don't buy products or services, they buy beliefs.
Exactly.
Now look at Tesla. Who buys a Tesla? Well, someone that wants significance. When they first came out, hey, look, I have a Tesla, I'm different than you guys. Someone who wants a green environment, right? Doesn't want to add to the pollutants in the environment. Someone that believes we need to shift the direction of the world. There's lots of belief systems like that. So how did Tesla become so successful? Because there's a certain market that he targeted, and then he expanded it.
Yes.
And they change belief systems. Like,
Yeah.
how do they feel when they drive a Tesla? The first Teslas that were out on the road, it's like, wow, there's a Tesla, massive significance. What are you doing when you're driving a Tesla? You're making a statement.
Yes.
Right, without saying anything. That's a
Yes.
belief system.
Yes.
It's the same thing with chiropractic.
Yes.
They should gain significance and self-confidence when they're under your care and they use chiropractic as a lifestyle. They should have that self-confidence when they're bringing their family, and it's the primary healthcare, because they're going to go out in the world and other people aren't going to understand it.
Yes.
So they got to be able to stand up for themselves.
Yes.
And so here's another thing. Do we need to provide an amazing life for our family? Absolutely. Is that the number one thing? Absolutely. However, when purpose and wanting to change the healthcare system and breaking generational patterns, you will end up creating a better life for your family, because you're going to have a bigger practice. It's going to be easier. And when all these people, you break generational patterns, you have generations coming to you. And the kids that are born 30 years from now, because of the way these generations live, that's sustainability. Like, what's your schedule going to look like 10 years from now?
Yes.
That's when you can guarantee that, that's a generational pattern. You don't have a problem creating a life for your family. You don't have a problem with time and financial freedom. And so we just came back from a Healed seminar, and then I'll give you a chance to talk, right?
No,
And
go for it. I'm taking notes. There's
like,
a couple of things I'm going to hit. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's about, tapping into who God created you to be, clearing your past, and finding your soul purpose, perfect for chiropractors. And one of the things I've learned is, we give off an electromagnetic force. Thoughts become things. Why? Because our thoughts radiate a vibrational frequency. And so I was doing this study and it said, you know, you might think about this and grasp this, that you don't think of thoughts. Your thoughts come to you based on the vibrational frequency of your level of consciousness. Fascinating. So that's like if you tune in a radio station and you're on a hard rock or a punk rock or whatever station it is, that's different music than if you change the station and you're on smooth jazz.
Totally.
So it's very similar that our thoughts have a frequency based on our level of consciousness, and those are the thoughts on that level that we continue to have.
Yes.
And that's why Albert Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same mind, i.e. vibrational frequency, i.e. level of consciousness that created the problem. So
Correct.
that's where one thing we teach is to get yourself in a higher consciousness, which we teach you how to do that, and then bring the problem up to the solution. And so, that's where people think, hey, you know what? I'm going to grow my practice. I'm going to get new patients. But if you're using the same communication and same systems and level of consciousness, you're not going to change your retention. So what happens? You work hard for a little while. That's not sustainable. And that's why you grow and then come back down, grow and come back down. And you end up in this range because your next level of practice is another level of consciousness. And I know you know that better than anybody, man, as we grew. And then I saw this video. It's the last thing I'll say. If you want to grow your business and grow to the next level of success, you have to spend more energy on growing yourself.
Exactly. That's
and
it.
then your business will grow.
Exactly.
Do you need to learn business strategies? Yes. But if you
Yes.
learn the strategies without growing yourself, you're going to work hard.
Correct.
You won't understand it. It's going to be harder to implement.
Correct.
But that's coaching.
Exactly.
Joe and I help you get to another level of consciousness, and then the systems become automatic.
Correct. Exactly.
We
right.
came back from a healed seminar where we grew people's consciousness. They're breaking records.
Right.
They're breaking records. It's only been 3 days.
Right. You tracked it in. When you talk about that, when you were talking about burnout and unsustainable, one of the examples I was using, you see this in so many practices, right, Fred, that you see somebody work harder and they grow.
Right.
Right. So first off, they're starting reactively. They're not proactively. They're not running their practice holistically. They're not running it inside out. What happens is you're looking at your numbers, you kind of coast along, the numbers drop. Oh my God, I better do something. But what you do is you apply what you already know, and you apply the expertise that you have, and you apply the skill set that you have, and you apply the mindset that you have. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but the problem is you have to work harder in order to get the practice up. And then, like Fred said, it's unsustainable. You're working so hard to get it up 50, 100, or whatever extra, and you can't sustain it. You get burnt out, you get apathetic, you start resenting it, and then you start to drop. But I use the example of a shovel and a backhoe, right? Like if you make money being paid an hour with a shovel, the only way for you to make more money is to work harder, right? You got to work harder and longer in order to dig more ditches to make more money. If somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, dude, here's a new hydraulic, a New Holland backhoe, and it's air conditioned cab and it's got music, and you could just sit in there and pull levers and knobs, and you could do 1,000 times more work to dig ditches to make more money." And that's the point, the whole.
Hey, check this out, though. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
Now, the qualities of those Holland backhoes because you have one.
Yeah. I did have one. I don't have one now, but yeah.
You're like, oh, it's air conditioned. I'm sitting
It's
there pulling up.
unbelievable.
No, you're describing your life.
Yeah. So just like a day one, a day two, a day three, we do the 6 days, the missed adjustment, the table talk, the checkups, the 3, 2, 1 done. Like all those things are so critical. And the reality of that is if you know a better way to do it with a better mindset, you could get so much more done using 90% less energy. So that allows
the
you
time.
to go from right. Allows you to go from 100 a week to 100 a day. And at 100 a day, you could still feel slow. You could still feel like, hey, you're not you're not doing so great. I love that you talked about, I took a bunch of notes when you were talking about Tesla. Like, so what did Nikola Tesla say? He said, the secret, you want to know the secrets of the universe? Study energy, vibration, and frequency.
Absolutely.
So you knew that 100%, that, when you look at what we are metaphysically, you are merely an energy field. What differentiates a particle and or a molecule and or a atom really is its energy, its frequency, right? And its vibration. And that's what differentiates one thing from another. And we forget sometimes we're a culmination of these so-called molecules, which are really just energy fields. So I myself am an energy field interacting with another energy field. And one of our topics this last week in Car Passion was, are you a treater or are you a healer? There's a difference between the two based upon your mindset and outcome. And the other one that I wanted to share when you were talking, Fred, we talk about like profession and business, and I get all that. I think what saddens me, and I don't mean this to knock anybody, when I talk to newer docs, they're always like, I want to run a business. I want to own a bunch of offices. And I get that. I'm not saying that's bad, but like, that's their mission. That's their purpose. It's not, you're going to have more difficulty growing. You're the place you need to start first off is being a man or woman of value, being a man or woman of the greatest service possible. And I always say that, we're a principle first. We're not a profession first. We're not a business first. We're not entrepreneurs first. We're a principle first that we practice. We get paid to practice the principle. That makes us a professional. And by being a professional and learning business technique, that makes us a business person. And then learning the business, you want to open up multiple offices and do other things. That makes you an entrepreneur. But you have to start with really getting your head around the idea that we are a principle first. It's a belief value system of the principle, the 33 principles, the principle of life, the principle of values and beliefs that Fred talks about. That's the first place to start. And when you study and master that, there's nothing that stops you after that. But if you're not getting grounded there and you're hop skipping ahead to all the other stuff, and now you're chasing the dollar, you're chasing your numbers, you're chasing your business, unfortunately, you're going to have a miserable journey. You're going to have a miserable life. You're not going to have a fulfilled, purposeful life because you are literally changing or missing the opportunity of changing every single life that you touch. And by missing that opportunity, you miss the opportunity to grow and to touch what chiropractic really is. And you'll always struggle. Now you're advertising and promoting, like Fred was talking about, making that distinction, rather than going, holy shit, I got 20 people lined up and I haven't even unlocked the door yet. That's a difference. That's a guy, that's a woman practicing the principle. That's a woman and a man practicing a belief and a value, giving purpose to people's lives.
Well, as you're saying that, here's what I'm thinking. Who had the biggest hands-on healing practice in history, right? What did Jesus do? Did he come in because he wanted a business, or did he come in with a principle?
Right.
And he changed the history of the world,
Right.
of billions, plural, of people. You know what I mean? Now imagine if he would have collected and said, look, what do you got? I'll lay my hands on you for money, right? But that would have changed his heart.
Correct.
And then it wouldn't have been the same.
Right.
So what business could he have created? And I say, you learn business so you have a system to deliver the principle.
Correct.
The purpose is the principle. The business is, the physical location, tracking the money, having the software, having the team, and running these things. Why? So you can serve more people.
Exactly.
And when you're focused on that, you don't have to worry about business. People show up.
Exactly. It's you attract them. Jim Rohn used to say that success is something that you attract. Einstein said, don't focus on being a person of success. First, focus on being a person of service. And that's really the first place to start. When you hone your craft, when you hone your craft of communication, of the adjustment, of empathy, of sympathy, of really providing a healing moment to their lives, then once you really own that, then the rest of it becomes easier. And Fred, you always say, the protocols or procedures are primarily there to handle the volume, right? To handle handle the numbers, right? Because all of a sudden I got all these people coming. I got to start to organize all that. It's not necessarily to grow the practice, though promotions and procedures, they are interlaced, certainly. But the reality is you get a doctor with the intention. My homework for all of you guys, take a journal in the morning, be by yourself, get outside in nature, take a breath of the air, get the sun in your face, walk barefoot in the grass, like really get connected. And then write down what your purpose is in the office. Like, why do you go to the office? And get that to a place where I want to change humanity. I got to make a living. I got to support my family. I get all that. But man, when you can get that to a place of, what my ultimate purpose is to change the lives of every human being, to elevate the lives of every human being, to elevate the consciousness. BJ Palmer, the true goal of chiropractic is to elevate the consciousness of humanity. Like when it comes to that, and that's where you start, and that's your reason to go in, boy, it eliminates so many barriers in your head and their heads when it comes to growing and serving people in practice.
Well, yeah, and let's go back to what you said. I guess the mantra is your spirit grows the practice. That's principle, and systems handle the flow.
Right.
I went to DE coming
Boom.
right out of school, man. It was like 60 days out of school, and I went to DE, right? And the first 60 days, I understood the principle, and I have a lot of student loans.
Yeah,
And
right.
I wanted to make an impact. I understood healthcare. So, and then I went to DE and got the philosophy. And we just talked to everybody. It doesn't mean I was effective, but as an independent contractor associate, I got my practice to 350 a week, and it was just on being fired up, and then I joined my first coach. Oh, here's a pre-consultation. I never even heard the word pre-consult.
Right.
We just touted the principle, man. It doesn't mean I had a high PVA, but we were talking to everybody and I wanted to change healthcare. We were taking care of kids and we had a pure message and I was coming from my heart. Oh, what's a consult? What exam? How am I supposed to do that? Here's a better report. I didn't know anything. I remember this dude I went to, and then I started studying spinal correction. And I was all fired up, man. Fred Bard, scoliosis, blah, 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 whatever that was. And then I remember I was describing this x-ray, giving a report of findings to this guy, middle-aged dude. And I was just going off because I just came back from a technique seminar. I didn't even look at him. I was looking at the x-ray, just going out, getting all excited about what I wanted him to know. And then I look at the guy and I go, what do you think? He goes, I have no idea what you said, but if you can give me that energy, I'm in. Like,
Yeah,
it was like,
exactly.
I was just all fired up. And he's like, I don't know what the
Exactly.
fuck you're talking about, but can I be like that?
Yes.
Now there was no retention there. I could start him. I didn't keep him, but I at least started him. And I remember, and that's when I said, I need a coach. And then
Yeah.
the first coach was CJ Mertz, right? So I'm like, oh, that we're supposed to have a pre-consultation. I didn't know that. But I'm already at 350 a week.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the great things I loved about CJ that I really got a lot out of was that procedure, the protocols. Like I really
Getting organized.
Reggie was my coach and up until the day, he basically really slowed down. But he was all about, communication and the passion and knowing the principle and getting in there and education and leading people is really great as a leader. But as I got busier, we didn't practice like box on the wall and just open tables and no schedule. Like that isn't how we practiced. And, we did have some insurance. We did have some people get into car accidents and, we weren't a PI practice, but you have somebody who take care of and they get into an accident. You got to take care of them. And, so all of a sudden it was like, wait, how do we handle all that? So I will say that CJ was so great in leading me to the understanding.
Structure.
Yeah, really great at structure. And he was such a great communicator, great coach. Fred Schofield, just that energy, that confidence. I worked with Fred for a couple of years, and he was so wonderful in just elevating the confidence and the motivation and that energy that you need to have, the rhino.
That's what grows your practice, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
CJ gave structure.
yeah. It was
So
really
I started, I used to go to Schofield every
Yeah.
month, man. You know, and here's the thing, it's like, you know
And
this, Joe. It's like people want what you've done. You know, and if you have someone that you say, I want to do what they're doing, then you have to do what they've done. You may
correct.
not have to do it the same way, but you know, Schofield was every month. I went every month for 18 months. And then
Right.
I had another coach. Actually, we just used to go to the seminars, and we flew our team out of state every other month for 18 months,
Right.
for a year and a half. It was Mark Himes at the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
Right.
then you go through the evolution.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, and then we went to DE at 4 times a year for 10 years.
Yes.
You know, and I remember one time, because I was married to a chiropractor time. Well, my best friend's getting married. It's on a DE weekend. Well, you know, we have to go to the wedding. It's a DE weekend. You know, like, you can go. That's
Yeah.
not my problem. I
Yeah.
didn't schedule it on it. Did you tell her it was a DE weekend?
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
So,
Yeah. And I try to get my head around it. I do get it, like BJ Palmer, DD Palmer did things for us to make our lives easier, just like God, Jesus did things for us to make our lives easier. And I do see them paving a path. Some of us don't have the motivation, the purpose, the mission, the why, the conviction, in order to do what Dee Dee did. If they did it, we wouldn't be here today, right? But Dee Dee had it, BJ had it, but they don't. But I guess the disappointment I have, and I know you and I have talked about this, Fred, is we have 3 events a year. We do a practice mastery, which we have November 8th and 9th. We do a boot camp like you do as well, and that's a 1-day intensive. It's phenomenal. And then we do a retreat, which is all headspace, and we're going to be in Atlantis, Bahamas this year, which I think you were with us in the Bahamas,
yeah,
weren't
yes,
you?
yeah, a few years
Yeah,
ago.
and you did that a few years ago, and so we're doing that again this year. And we have so many docs that like don't make, like, you were going every 2 months, I was going every 2 months. I'm on a webinar, I'm reading a book every day. Like, I didn't dip. Like, I submerged
You're
myself in terms of,
immersed. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
totally. And as a result, you have these wonderful things that happen. And you hear docs and members who I love and care about and I want to do well. And they're like, well, I can't come this weekend, and I can't do it this weekend, I can't do it that weekend. And I'm thinking, I've been doing this for 12 years as a coach. We used to have 6 events, we're down to 3, and I've never missed one.
Yeah,
Like, I've never missed. Like, it wasn't like we had 120 people show up and they're like, "Where's Joe?" Oh, he couldn't make it. Softball game this weekend.
yeah,
There was an event going on. He didn't make it. Like, he made it. So when I stand before people, and Fred, you have the same way, and I mean it in a humble way, not in a way to knock people down, but when you look at somebody like us and you say, "Wow, look at the things we did." We did that through some sacrifice. Not that we don't have a wonderful life and a great life, but there's some things that we hold sacred. There's some things that we honor, and by honoring and holding those things sacred, our responsibility to you, our responsibility to the profession, our responsibility to the principal. When you hold those things sacred, your practice grows. But when you don't hold those things sacred and you're winging it, if you will, or you're being reactive, or you're being allopathic in how you run your life, and reactive and allopathic and how you run your practice, where you're treating your practice rather than caring and nurturing your practice, you're always going to struggle. You get burnout, and you're going to coach jump. You're going to go to one coach, and then you're going to go another coach, and then you're going to go another coach, and you're like, well, nothing changed, nothing happened. Well, you didn't change. Like,
yeah,
the first
exactly.
thing that has to happen in coaching is just understand you're the one that's got to change, not me. You need to change. So the process is elevating you and your consciousness and you changing.
Absolutely. And I find this, it's like when people learn the systems, even if they focus on the systems and we give them clarity and the right communication, all that, they definitely grow. But then if their
Yeah.
practice grows, I would say,
Yeah.
and they grow, but if they don't continue with the personal growth,
Yes. Yes.
which also we provide, because I learned that when I started coaching, I could tell them exactly what to do, but they couldn't do it until they raised their consciousness.
Right.
And that's when I started clearing things out in people. And,
Yes,
I tell in the boot camps, the power of everything we teach is in healed, because chiropractic is a universal principle. We are an electromagnetic life force,
exactly.
and you're working with another electromagnetic life force. And when number
Exactly.
one, when those two things come together, and an adjustment raises the vibration and the frequency of that space, like what you said. And you think about this is another thing we just taught. Are you a body, or are you in a field and this matter is in the field?
Right.
Because that electromagnetic life force determines health or disease. Our bodies are electromagnetic. Our nervous system is electric, our heart is magnetic. You combine the two, we emit an electromagnetic life force that now is measurable. It's called a magnetoencephalograph, where they measure the magnetic field, and the probes are outside of your body in your field,
Exactly.
and they're measuring the field. And when you change that field, you change the matter. The matter is responding to the frequency. And
Exactly.
that's why BJ and Didi understood this, right? Because Didi was a magnetic healer. They understood
Yes.
this.
Yes.
They understand you change the electromagnetic field, which is why you shift the consciousness of humanity,
Exactly.
because that is contributing to the universe. And
Exactly.
if you understand anything, if you're trying to fix a translation, I mean, I get it. Hey, number one, man, I love CBP. We need to fix spine. Why? Because when you do, you're changing the electromagnetic force of that person. You're
Exactly.
raising the conscious, you're raising the frequency. And that's what shifts humanity.
Correct. Yeah, you can't express that energy, that intelligence, that force. It can't express itself. It communicates in us invertebrates through the spine. So when that is jammed up, jacked up, crooked, subluxated, that expression isn't there. So you're no longer, the vibratory high frequency field that you need to be. Your expression from a homeostasis, from a physiologic standpoint, your expression through consciousness, your connection to the world. Like, think about this. If you could hear 3% better, if you could see 3% brighter, and I say that because that's what I notice when I get adjusted. If you could think 3% clearer, every study, there's study after study after study that show the occipital cortex and the firing. There's study Heidi Havoc about prefrontal cortex, temporal lobe, mild cognitive impairments. All these things are 100% measurable, functional MRIs, pre and post adjustment. So think about what that's doing to the brain. So think about what's that doing to your consciousness. Think about what's that doing to your human experience. So when you walk into a room and you make it about back pain, it doesn't make you a bad person. Chiropractic's great for back pain. They're going to feel better. But when you make it about something bigger, more of them, not all of them, but more of them will make it about something bigger. When you make it about
Absolutely.
something huge, then more of them make it about something huge. And when they make it about something bigger or huge, then, hey, I want my kids to be part of this. I want my mom and dad to be part of this. I got to get my family in. I got to get my coworkers in. They
Well,
start asking you if their bosses, hey, would you come in and talk to my workforce, which, we've had happen 100 different times over the 35 years of practice. Will you come in and talk to all these people? And all of a sudden, again, it's something you attract. And all these people start coming in, and all of a sudden you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of people in a day effortlessly, not like, oh my God, this was a lot of work. You see a bunch of, I can remember seeing 20 people a day going home, oh my God, I'm fucking exhausted. I can remember seeing hundreds in the morning going, damn, let's do that again in the afternoon. Like,
yeah.
everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything.
And there's science explains everything you just said. And so this is one of the things we talked about in Healed, which is why spirituality is the key to growing your practice, because we talk about your level of consciousness is the energy that you are radiating in that field. So you have two people that are exchanging energy. So if you're handling a patient's objection on a lower consciousness, like just about back pain, then those are the thoughts you're going to get. You don't know how to handle bigger objections.
Exactly.
When you're into this is not only breaking generational patterns, but with every person that understands you're raising, when you're flying at 1,000 feet, you have a whole nother level of consciousness. Now
Exactly.
you're able, just by that energetic exchange, help people to understand something on a higher level. It's
Exactly.
like an eagle flying at 10 feet. When you got a view from 10 feet, you're competing with crows. Crows will be on your back. Those are all the problems and objections, and that's your PVA problem. When you're at 1,000 feet, you can see the horizon, your solutions, your mindset, the thoughts
Yeah,
that come to you, how you learn to handle objections, and then you create an unstoppable person.
exactly.
And that's why they bring their family. That's why they go to their extended family. That's why you turn one into three and one into five, because your consciousness, your purpose is higher. They
Yes.
actually feel it,
Yes.
and they can raise, even if they get halfway to your level. If you're
Exactly.
at the metaphorical 1,000 feet, they walk in with back pain at 10 feet, and you can get them to a metaphorical 500 feet. They're bringing
Right.
their family. They're going to make it lifestyle. They don't even have to be as high as you, but the more they're around you, the more it keeps raising and raising, because the things that are coming through your mind are different. And here's the thing: 1,000 feet aren't thoughts in your head; those are thoughts from your heart.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
Right.
why they come.
That's it. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
shows in the Heart Math Institute. The heart has
Oh,
is
yeah.
40,000. They call them sensory neurites. There's more information going from your heart to your mind than there is from your brain to your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
heart can tell your mind what to think and
Yes.
can influence your thoughts. And that's when you look at the map of consciousness with David Hawkins, and you get up to 500 as measurements, and you're in unconditional love. The physical manifestation of unconditional love is revelation.
Right.
You have different thoughts,
Right. Yeah. The
and
one thing
that's
I
the heart
noticed,
telling your mind.
yeah, the one thing to add to that that I know I noticed, and I know you did, Fred, because we've talked about it before. When I'm at that higher level in practice, so when all of you work on you to get to a higher level, the person who doesn't um let's say get on a plan that doesn't follow through, because I don't care how good you are, anyone tells you 100%, it's never going to be 100%, right? What we're going to teach you is a higher success. That's what we're going to teach you. So hey, 10 people come in, maybe 3 of them are kind of following your leadership. If we can get you to 7, 8, 9, hey, that's life changing, right, for them and for you.
Absolutely.
But I found that the no didn't affect me. Before,
You're above it.
when I was, I don't know if it was playing smaller, my consciousness, all the things that we're talking about, right? Mindset shift, purpose, mission, why, all those important moments that make all of us up. When someone left, I would be like, oh my God, someone left. Like, what can I do? How can I, why did they reject me? What do I need to do? Protocol, procedure, like, oh my gosh, when I got to that other level, it was, I care, I love them, I love on them on the way in, I love them on the way out. But it didn't change me. I always say, my conviction, my fire inside was so hot that nothing on the outside could burn me, right? Nothing could affect me. And I wasn't going to let them change me or dim my light or make me change my conviction. And I became bigger. One of my favorite lines, just be bigger than your excuses. Like, I became bigger than my excuses. Nothing seemed impossible. Nothing seemed unachievable. Everything felt like I could do anything I wanted merely by focusing on what I knew, what I had within me, and making myself better and sharing that through leadership. That in the end is what I think made a big difference. Because I know you get it, Fred, and I
Well,
get
and you're a lover, man. You love
yeah,
people, and they know that. And here's the irony: because it didn't bother you, you weren't emanating fear. You
yes,
weren't emanating rejection. And
correct,
because you poured from your heart is why they didn't leave.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Right? That's how you got a 400 PVA. Like it's not that you didn't care. It's that you cared so much, you told them
Yes.
what they needed to hear to
100%.
change their
100%.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's like you cared that much that I don't see your excuses. All I see is something you don't understand. So
Yes.
let's identify what you don't understand, and then
Yes.
you'll bring your family and stay here for the rest of your life.
Yes. One of my favorite lines that I think about from Christ when he was being crucified, and he said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And I think of that every day in practice. Like when someone says no, when someone says they're leaving, when someone says, they're going to take a break, whatever it is, and you're coming from a place of full understanding and full caring. I always go there. I'm like, forgive yourself. Don't walk away destroyed. Forgive yourself. Forgive them, God, for they don't know what they do. They forgive them. They don't know what they do. They don't know enough to make the right decision. Now, your job, your role, your responsibility is to be the best leader to help lead them through the systems that we teach in order to get them to make a better decision. But in the end, just remember, if they, like Sid said it in a simple way, right? If they knew what we knew, they would do what we do, and they don't. So it's your job to lead them there.
Well, it's so funny. Like people want to take a break. I say, okay,
Yeah.
well, there's definitely something you don't understand. So, okay, yep, no problem. Like when you're accepting, then they take down their guard because they
Yeah.
know when they tell you to take a break, you're gonna want to talk to them, right? So you say, okay, yep, I understand, I get it. So I'm just curious. So your spinal cord, your lifeline is carrying energy, life's dependent on it, your health's dependent on it, right? Dependent on that energy, right? So you know that. Yeah, 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 doc. And they're kind of yesing you. So let me ask you a question. Then while you're taking a break from energy moving in your body, are you going to take a break from breathing?
Exactly.
Are you going to just, I think I'll take a break from breathing. Are
Yeah.
you going to take a break from, you're going to tell your heart, you've been working hard for
Take a
46
break.
years. Yeah, take a break, rest. Just stop and rest for a while. It's all, you can tell your heart to take a break because energy is making your heart work.
Exactly. Your
Spinal cord's
immune
making your heart
system,
work.
your
What else?
uterus,
I'm
your
just
kidney.
curious. What else do you want to take a break from?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So that's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's just pattern interrupt you and
Yeah. Yeah.
reframe so that
Yeah.
you get what you just said.
How does doing less of what got you well keep you well? That's my
Yeah.
favorite. How does doing less of what got you well keep you well? What? Well, how does doing less? You're well, you're healthy. So how does doing less of that keep you well? It doesn't. Exactly. So why are you giving yourself that advice? Why would you take a break? Like walk me through that. Well, money and time. Well, let's address that. Let's work on that. Let's figure that out, but
It's
wow.
so funny because my mom goes to a chiropractor. I've been going twice a week. I feel amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then when I talk to her like a month later, I think I'm going to go to once a week. And I
Yeah.
use that line. I go, Mom, twice a week, you felt better. You feel stronger. You have more confidence in the strength and health of your body than you've had in a long time. By the way, she's got a full cervical lordosis, no degenerative discs,
Yeah.
87 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Principle's a principle, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, and I go, why would you do that? Why would you do less of what makes you feel freaking amazing?
Yes.
And she goes, you know what? You're right. That's like, I don't know what I was thinking. Neither do I. That's the problem, man. I used to do that with my son. Well, what time is supposed to be home for dinner? 6. What time is it? 7:15. Well, what was the problem? Well, I thought, stop.
Yeah.
That's where the problem began.
That's it.
He used to hate that.
I always say, listen, I
That's
can
where it
understand why you
started.
would think that. I can understand that would make sense from where you're at. I can understand you're thinking that, but let me ask you this. Have you thought about this? Have you, well, no. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson in his comment, not that I'm on the same alignment with all his positions, but he said, most people know enough to think they're right, but not enough to know they're wrong. And that's it in practice. Just right. They come in thinking they're right because they were thinking, but you're thinking based on what you don't know.
Your level of consciousness. It goes
Right.
back to the same thing.
Right. And it's like, well, I can understand you're coming up with that based upon what you know, your level of thinking, but have you thought about this? It's like, well, no, exactly. What's that going to do?
That's hilarious,
So
man.
you want to go back to exactly what you were doing that caused you to get sick to see me in the first place? You want to go back to that behavior? That's going to help you?
Yeah.
So
That's funny, man.
crazy, crazy.
Well, shoot, it's time to wrap this
I
up.
know,
Thanks for
I know.
hanging with us, man. You know, there was so many great
Yeah.
thoughts to contemplate
Yes.
on
Yes.
this one with a little bit of quantum physics in there as well.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even get into DeBroglia's principle. We'll talk about that next time.
yeah. Huh? What? Huh?
Duality of matter, man. It's good shit.
Oh yeah. Hey, well, I don't know. I probably know the principle, but I didn't catch the name. So who
Yeah,
knows?
DeBroglia's. Yeah, he was great. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, love you guys. Subscribe, share these. We
Yeah,
love
please.
you.
Please.
You know I get compliments on the stuff that we're bringing out there. Hey, you know, if some of these can help you raise your purpose, raise your conscience, serve
Yeah.
and help more people. If it
Yes.
can help
Yes.
you, then it can help other chiropractors.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
please
Exactly.
share
Good
this.
point. Exactly right. Yes.
All right. Love you guys.
Thanks,
Peace.
Doug.
See you soon.